Hi everybody, and welcome to a student-produced Reading Through History knockoff video describing the golden age of American whaling. This project was produced by Sutton Spindler and myself, Ethan, both juniors enrolled in Mr. Bocconi's 2020-2021 AP US History course. The term Golden Age of American Whaling describes a period starting essentially in the 1830s and lasting until the 1850s. Was this period of time marked by literally hundreds of American ships roaming the seas, searching farther and farther from home for their valuable prey. But before I describe the details of this interesting, though in some ways disturbing story, I want to detail the early years of the American whaling industry. It all starts in 1712 when an English-speaking colonial sea captain by the name of Christopher Hussey killed the first Nantucket Island sperm whale. Sperm whales were much larger and produced an oil that proved far more lubricative compared to the black whales Hussey was originally searching for. From this first sperm whale killing, Nantucket Island would begin to specialize in the hunting of sperm whales. However, within a very short period of time, the British would take note of this growing and increasingly profitable and admired industry and targeted Nantucket whaling ships during the Revolutionary War, a move that resulted in many whalers being fitted out to fight against the British. The war proved highly damaging to the Nantucket whaling industry, with over 80% of its fleet destroyed and the other whaling businesses that Nantucket inspired being similarly impacted. Nonetheless, the American whaling industry survived. This, in large part because famous Americans such as Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and George Washington all expressed their fondness for the industry. Hence, when these men no longer had to deal with the conflicts of war, U.S. whalers were quick to build the largest whaling fleet in the world, which included 735 ships out of a worldwide total of 900, which takes us to the industry's golden age. The title, The Golden Age of American Whaling, details the period of time in which the industry of whaling was at its peak in the United States of America. During this period of time, whale products were used for anything from lamps to clothing. Whaling also had significant cultural impacts, from popular stories to increased opportunities for African Americans. You could say that whaling and the United States were closely intertwined during this time. What were whales used for? Whale oil was used to lubricate the machines of the first industrial revolution from 1800 to 1848. Important devices such as textile machines and the cotton gin were only made possible due to the greasy consistency of whale oil. Whale oil also provided a cheap and effective way to light the developing towns and cities of the United States. Since this oil proved essential for America's transition into the first industrial revolution, it can be argued that without its whaling industry, the United States would have never reached its strengths and influence seen today. In addition to the importance of whale oil, many other whale products added to the wealth of the American whaling industry. For example, the teeth of whales' baleen were used in hoop skirts and corsets, and a rose-tinted waxy substance called ambergris was used in perfumes. This helped to associate whale products with the trending feminine fashion. The high demand for these whale products resulted in millions of dollars in sales, and at its pinnacle, sales of around $11 million, or $370 million today. In pursuit of this wealth, hundreds of American whaling ships sailed from ports ranging from East Coast cities in Massachusetts to West Coast cities in California. This fervent hunt for whales resulted in the killing of thousands of these sea creatures, such as the 8,000 whales killed in 1853 alone. This golden age will not last forever, however. The industry started to decline due to the disruptions of the American Civil War and the replacement of whale oil with fossil fuels. The American whaling industry's impact on African Americans during the golden age of American whaling can also not be understated. The industry was a place that many former African American slaves flocked to after escaping. In the whaling industry, they tended to be treated based on skill, not race. In total, an estimated 20,000 former slaves lent themselves to the whale industry. These African Americans would not only contribute to the workforce of the industry, but revolutionize it as well. An example of this is Lewis Temple, a runaway slave who went on to invent and produce an improved harpoon design that was quickly adopted by fellow whalers. In our research of the golden age of American whaling, we found two stories that we found to be very interesting, so we would like to share these two stories with you. One of these stories is the cultural legacy of the novel Moby Dick. It was originally both a commercial and critical failure due to its portrayal of the harsh realities of whaling life, which conflicted with the public's romanticized view of the industry. However, it is now commonly referred to as the grandfather of great American novels, providing detailed and accurate descriptions of whale hunting at the time. The author, Herman Melville, served as a whaler several years prior to writing the book, and had authored much of it from personal experience. The whale featured in the book was based on the real-life Mocha Dick, a powerful sperm whale that had taken over 100 attempts by whalers to finally kill it. Whaling also benefited America's relationship with other countries. Driven by manifest destiny, dozens of American whaling ships traveled to Japan, only to then be turned away due to Japan's 220-year-old policy of international isolation. After rescuing 7 shipwrecked Japanese sailors, American Commodore Aulick drafted a letter to the Emperor of Japan. This letter stated assurance of America's friendly intentions, desire of converse agreements, and boasted about America's technical achievements. Commodore Perry undertook the expedition to Japan with a fleet of 4 ships, and although the letter was accepted, nothing else transpired. Determined, he returned a year later with an impressive fleet of 10 ships and a crew of 1,600. After weeks of negotiation, the Convention of Kanagawa was signed, and the two countries began trading their inventions, ideas, and resources. Whalers were now allowed to do most of their business around Japanese ground. Thus, although during its golden age, the American whaling industry may appear gruesome and disturbing due to the many whales that it slaughtered, its impact on both culture and society cannot be denied, and the industry today still remains a largely unmatched American phenomenon that, despite its flaws, was instrumental in shaping the country.